In the freezing, desolate expanses of the Bering Sea, a predator hunts across the treacherous boundary of ocean and ice. This is the Akhlut, a 15-foot biological hybrid designed for absolute dominance in the sub-zero north. For centuries, indigenous hunters have reported a chilling geographical anomaly: massive wolf tracks leading for miles across the tundra, only to vanish into solid sea ice or terminate abruptly at an oceanic blowhole. Puzzled, these tracks represent a biological contradiction. A standard Arctic wolf cannot survive the pressure of the abyssal ocean, and an orca cannot traverse the frozen terrestrial surface. This mystery forces us to examine the evidence behind the legend. Is the Akhlut a culturally ingrained story meant to warn hunters of thin ice? Or is it a hyper-adapted biological reality that has escaped scientific classification? The creature's anatomy is a masterclass in polar survival. It utilizes a dense layer of marine blubber for insulation, wrapped in a dermal layer that transitions from slick, hydrodynamic skin on its torso to coarse, water-repellent fur along its extremities. Its head structure is built for a specific type of lethality, merging the powerful, snapping jaws of an Arctic wolf with the crushing bite force and conical teeth of a killer whale. To handle the transition between environments, its massive limbs end in webbed paws with non-retractable claws. These allow for explosive sprints across the ice, before folding into streamlined flippers for aquatic propulsion. This precise combination of traits allows the auklet to exploit the land-sea ecotone. It is an area where traditional predators fail, but where this hybrid remains the master of the threshold. In the 18th century, a party of Yupik hunters in Norton Sound documented an encounter that moved the creature beyond the realm of superstition. This wasn't a story told by firelight, it was a matter of tracking. While following a caribou herd, they found canine prints twice the size of any known wolf. They followed the trail for miles until it reached the very edge of the pack ice. At the water's edge, the prints shifted into a heavy belly slide. Suddenly, a colossal black and white beast breached the surface, roaring with a force that shattered the surrounding ice before it vanished back into the deep. The resulting tribal warnings were based on these observations. If a hunter found these oversized tracks, they were to abandon the ice immediately, as the Akhlut was already hunting them from below. In 1888, Western whaling fleets pushed into the Beaufort Sea, far beyond the safety of open water. Their logs soon began to intersect with these ancient accounts. The crew of an ice-bound commercial ship reported being stalked by a marine anomaly. These reports came from armed, pragmatic sailors standing watch over their stranded vessel. The captain officially logged a 15-foot creature dragging a fresh seal carcass across the ice pack. He noted the recognizable dorsal fin and markings of an orca, but observed that the animal moved on 4 powerful, furred legs. When the crew fired upon the beast, it plunged effortlessly into the black water. The sailors remained icebound, terrified of the very surface they were standing on. This intersection of two very different cultures provided a layer of corroboration. The logs of industrial whalers had aligned with the warnings of the Yupik, turning a regional legend into a documented anomaly of the ice pack. Modern exploration teams have replaced the whaling fleets, bringing a new suite of sensors to the polar ice cap. This diagram shows the application of ice-penetrating radar. By mapping the sub-glacial environment, researchers are looking for movement in zones previously inaccessible to human observation. These teams also utilize passive monitoring grids, leaving motion-activated trail cameras in the most extreme reaches of the Arctic. A moment of wonder. This infrared flash captures the result of that persistence. In the dead of the Arctic night, an apex predator passes directly in front of the lens, confirming the presence of a hunter that has long avoided detection. As our instruments reach further into these hostile environments, we find that ancient folklore often aligns with modern data. We are finally seeing a predator that has been perfectly adapted to this habitat for centuries. We tend to think of the modern Arctic as a fully mapped, highly surveilled frontier. With tools like synthetic aperture radar continuously scanning the ice from orbit, the idea that a massive, undocumented animal could hide up there seems unlikely. The general scientific consensus holds that the era of discovering giant, unknown apex predators ended hundreds of years ago with the retirement of the wooden whaling ships, which makes the indigenous legend of the Akhlut so intriguing. For generations, traditional stories described a terrifying hybrid creature, a chimera mixing the heavy body of a killer whale with the fur and legs of a wolf. For decades, anthropologists viewed this strictly through a cultural lens. They interpreted the monster as a symbolic metaphor to warn early coastal inhabitants about the dual dangers of land and sea predators. It is comfortable to treat the Akhlut as a harmless piece of historical folklore. However, modern environmental sensors and field biologists are beginning to track it as a living biological entity. In 1999, a joint team of state wildlife biologists and indigenous trackers were monitoring walrus migrations near the Diomede Islands in the Bering Strait. While scanning from an elevated coastal ridge, the team watched a massive 15-foot biological anomaly violently launch itself out of the freezing ocean water. The creature landed on 4 heavily muscled legs, shaking freezing water from a coat of coarse fur. The witnesses documented it sprinting across the ice pack to ambush its prey before diving back into the sea. Because multiple trained professionals corroborated the exact sequence of events, this account became a cornerstone case for Arctic cryptozoology. We are left with 2 options. Either an entire team of highly credible wildlife experts experienced a synchronized mass delusion, or they documented an unclassified apex predator that defies known biology. 12 years later, the evidence shifted from eyewitness testimony to hard physical traces. In 2011, a glaciology research team set up a temporary monitoring camp in a remote section of Nunavut. Overnight, while the researchers slept inside their habitats, something dismantled their exterior seismic monitoring equipment. The next morning, the team discovered massive, heavily webbed canine tracks pressed into the snow. The wreckage provided biomechanical data. The heavy steel casings were crushed with a jaw impact matching a killer whale, force applied by a creature walking out of the ocean. This physical evidence upgrades the creature from an unverified optical illusion to an aggressive, ton-heavy terrestrial predator actively defending its territory. The technological proof continued to escalate. Recently, the crew of a commercial icebreaker navigating the Chukchi Sea reported a close-quarters encounter. As the ship crushed through multi-year ice, the onboard multi-beam sonar detected an unusually large biological mass holding its ground directly ahead. The bridge camera footage recorded exactly what the sonar had pinged. An enormous black-and-white animal hauled its heavy body onto a drifting iceberg using powerful webbed forelegs before slipping back beneath the ice. The definitive confirmation arrived in April 2026. A deep-sea research crew deployed autonomous underwater vehicles to conduct a sub-glacial survey beneath the Beaufort Sea. The drone's 4K low-light cameras captured a 15-foot biological entity swimming with terrifying speed. The footage shows a hydrodynamic skin transitioning into muscular, furred limbs right before the creature used splayed, webbed claws to breach the ice from below. A water filtration sample taken from the creature's immediate wake was processed through portable eDNA sequencers. The results yielded a chimeric genetic sequence containing both canid and cetacean markers. This progression, from shredded steel and sonar pings to high-resolution video and chimeric eDNA, presents a compounding case that is becoming increasingly difficult for the scientific community to ignore. The timeline of evidence suggests that visual encounters, physical destruction, and genetic data cannot be easily dismissed as a collected myth. The data points towards an unclassified, evolutionary, hybrid predator that physically dominates the polar extremes. As Arctic research teams continue to map the shifting boundaries of our planet, the Akhlut stands as a chilling reminder that the frontier of the extreme north remains uncharted.